Hi, Brittany with Fit by Britt. Fit tip of the day. I am going to name this another way to look at it. What is the number one stretch that most people do? Is like everybody complains that their hamstrings are tight. I'm going to tell you that your hamstrings are tight because they're good at nothing, but they do everything. So if other muscles in your body are not functioning properly, or not contracting or working ideally, then the hamstrings pick up the slack for the other muscles. So if any of your adductors are not working, then hamstrings are picking up the slack. So a lot of people would say if your hamstrings are tight, then you should stretch them because they're tight and then they're pulling at your back. So here's another approach that I want you to try. See what works for you. Instead of pulling at your leg to try to create less tension in your hamstrings, what we're going to try to do is activate the hip flexors to loosen up the hamstrings to hopefully get you more range of motion. So let's look at my range of motion. So let's first look at my hip flexion, okay? So we'll say my hamstrings start to pull right about there, and I can't go any further, okay? So some people would say take a band, put it around your foot or your ankle, and pull it this way to get more range of motion. So what we're gonna try to do, instead of pulling ourselves into a place, we're gonna try to take ourselves to a place. We're gonna hold for 6 seconds, and we're gonna do 6 rounds. And let's see if my range of motion improves without me having to pull on myself. I'm going to try to take myself there. So to increase my range of motion, instead of stretching, I'm going to try to take myself there. So I'm extending my leg and just trying to, I guess you would say, stretch my hamstrings without pulling on myself. And that's 6 seconds. We're going to do 5 more rounds. And relax. 4 more rounds. You can already see my range of motion opened up. That's 3 more rounds. Two more rounds. And 1 more round. Okay, so let's look at my range of motion again. I'll have to look on the video on how much distance that is. I can't perceive that at this time alone and feeling, but my range of motion opened up, and I will, if I can prove this with you once I get another body in here to kind of video it, is not only did I improve my range of motion and loosen up my hamstrings on my right side, but I will have made myself a little stronger in hip flexion versus just weaker in hip extension or possibly knee flexion. So anytime you feel like you're limited in range of motion, then practice going into that range of motion. That's another way to look at trying to get flexibility or range of motion in your body. Enjoy.